A week ago yesterday, Saturday, we celebrated a feast which was overlooked, I think, by most people, but it actually makes the meaning of the celebrations we are beginning this week come to full bloom in our minds. The feast was the Feast of the Annunciation, March the 25th, which is exactly 9 months before the Feast of the Birth of Jesus on December the 25th. I've never understood why it wasn't celebrated in a greater way. Maybe that's because it happens during Lent. But in fact, this feast throws the things we are celebrating this week into full brilliance. Because if it wasn't for the conception of Jesus, the becoming human of God in the person of Jesus of Nazareth, what we are preparing to celebrate in this Holy Week and during the Sacred Triduum of Thursday evening to Sunday evening would not make any sense. Because all of this that we are remembering and praying over and taking into our lives and our minds once again would have no meaning unless God had really become one of us in the person of Mary's Son, Jesus of Nazareth. For what Jesus has done has taken to himself all of creation, especially all of humanity, with our failings and our sins and our mistakes and our imperfections. He has taken them all into himself and suffered the consequences of them like we suffer the consequences of our sins, our failings, and our mistakes. He has taken them unto himself in kindness and in mercy and in love, and has transformed those sufferings into new life, not just for himself, but for all of us, his brothers and sisters in the human family. So what we are celebrating this week is not some ancient historical drama. It's an ongoing reality, because the God who became one of us and took us to himself is still alive. He is living in the world, but in your life and in my life. Someone once said we need to imitate Christ, but that's not really true. We need to actualize Christ. We need to make the love of this God so real as Jesus did that our contemporaries will be drawn back to the Father as we have been drawn back to the Father by the life, suffering, death, and resurrection of our brother Jesus. So as we enter into this week, let us be sure that we see what is really happening. What is still going on in our world is the Passion of Christ, not in the body of Mary's Son of years ago, but in his body, which is all of us, his brothers and sisters. It's happening in our hearts. It's happening in our homes. He's being crucified again in our political life. He's being harmed and put on a cross in all the wars that are going on in our world right now. Sin causes suffering. God was willing to take that suffering to himself in the person of Jesus and to raise him up out of it and ourselves along with him. So we need to keep faith in the risen Lord, the crucified and risen Lord, so that we can accept our own crucifixions in the same manner and rise with him again.